frontline.
Well, we're backing forces to fight ISIS, to fight Daesh. That's the goal. We're not doing that activity to get involved and embroiled in the civil war. And what we want, and what we said over and over again, is we want every member of the coalition, be it a state or not a state, if you're fighting in a coalition against Daesh, just to focus on that common enemy, because we all face that common enemy. But I really don't want to get into hypotheticals and speculating about the dynamics of the battlefield in and around Aleppo. Our focus militarily in Syria remains focused on the fight against Daesh and only on the fight against Daesh.
But you would give advice to forces that you are backing that their task remains to
The
fight
advice
ISIS.
that we give is in keeping with the fight against Daesh and only Daesh.
Ukraine?
I think we're going to stay on Syria. You got Syria?
No, the meeting between the Secretary and the Saudi Foreign Minister.
Okay, let me come to you after. I'll go here. Go ahead.
I actually have a short question, and then I'll explain what prompted the question.
Okay.
Is the U.S. fighting al-Nusra in Syria at this time?
Now you were going to explain why you were going to ask the question.
No, that is actually a very simple question. I mean, not.
I thought you were going to
simple,
ask
but
the question
short.
and then tell me why you were asking me the question.
The question is the U.S. fighting al-Nusra in Syria at this time?
Our efforts militarily in Syria, as I said to Dave, is against ISIS, against Daesh. Now, there has been, I think, at least one, maybe more. I don't know. You'd have to check with my Pentagon colleagues. But we know al-Nusra. They're outside the cessation of hostilities. They're also a designated, UN-designated terrorist group. They're al-Qaida in Syria, is how we refer to them. And I know that from a unilateral U.S. perspective, when we have had information that led us to take action because of plotting we knew they were doing, we did that. But the primary effort militarily in Syria is against Daesh.
Does the U.S.
You said you only had one question.
And actually, you confirmed that. Basically, my other the one that prompted the question, so it's redundant right now, not necessary to ask. Does the U.S. have a more broad question? So in Mosul, the U.S. has a strategy to fight ISIL there, which is to support, to train and equip Iraqi forces. In Aleppo, let's say with Russia out of the picture, I'm assuming, and I'm actually certain, that the U.S. wouldn't do the same for Syrian forces. And I'm wondering, does the U.S. have a strategy of its own to defeat al-Nusra in Syria that does not involve Russia?
We did have a strategy, if you might remember. If you go back to September 9th in Geneva, when Foreign Minister Lavrov and Secretary Kerry talked, and we struck a deal, right, an arrangement where if we got 7 days of reduced violence, we would stand up what was called a Joint Implementation Center, by which we would share information with the Russian military, designed specifically to cooperate against al-Nusra, specifically al-Nusra. I mean, and Daesh. Daesh was mentioned in there, but al-Nusra was specifically named as a target of those kinds of activities that we would be willing to cooperate and share information with the Russians on. We didn't get there. So there was a strategy, and it was implemented. It was written down on September 9th, and you can go back and look at the agreement and see that. We just couldn't get there because the Russians weren't willing to meet their commitments. Yeah.
Syria?